Hello everyone, this is the Pickaxe channel here, briefly crawling out of the grave to deliver a video on an incredibly random topic. So I ran across an interesting series of deltarune videos. This is a series known as Noel Test. I'm not entirely sure what to call it. I wouldn't say it's an ARG because it's contained entirely on YouTube, or at least as far as I can tell, but it certainly has an ARG-like vibe to it. Anyways, since nobody else has made a video analyzing this, I figured I'd give it a shot. Before we dive into my thoughts, I think it's probably a good idea to do a service level look at the 3 Noel test videos. I'd recommend watching them yourself, and I'll link them in the description, but regardless, let's begin with the first episode. A quick aside, pretty much all of the characters here are stretched out Noel sprites of varying colors and don't have official names, so I'm just going to call them by their color. Duplicate colors will receive a different name. The first episode has Noel walking through a short room filled with various stretched out multicolored Noels. Each different Noel seems to be testing a different feature. Lime Noel tests colored text. Aqua Noel tests, well, something related to variables maybe? I'm actually not really sure about this one. Pink Noel tests dialogue options. Blue Noel tests shaky text. And Purple Noel seems to test text changing due to external stimuli. This room seems to be a pretty standard test room, quite similar to the ones you can actually find in deltarune's code. But something different here is that Noel seems to be cognizant of her surroundings. She has this shell-shocked expression on her face, and she's aware that people around her are, well, not exactly normal. In the next episode, we start with Noel briefly wandering around a maze-like area that looked similar to episode 1, but then she arrives at a green-colored forest. Leaves fall from the sky, and music starts playing. Noel approaches Green Noel, who offers her a shortcut, which Noel seems excited about, only for Green Noel to just stand there. It seems Noel is starting to learn that all these people are NPCs. Then Noel meets Coral Noel, who talks about how much she loves something called food item, and that someone is selling it, but she ran out of money. Noel mentions that she is hungry. Walking down a bit, Noel meets... okay, I'm not sure what to call this color, so I'll just call this one Merchant Noel. Merchant Noel offers to sell food item for $1, but Noel doesn't have any money. Walking to the left, Noel finds a treasure chest containing $1. Going back to the merchant, Noel buys a food item. Noel goes up to Magenta Noel, who tells her about how you can consume items through the menu, but it seems the key to open the menu is unbound. After this, Noel goes back to Coral Noel and offers her the food item, considering Noel can't eat it, and Coral Noel seems to love them. But Coral Noel simply repeats the same line of dialogue and cannot be given the food item. Continuing east, Noel finds what the game describes as an apple on the ground and takes a bite of it. Apparently it doesn't taste that good. After this, the video ends. At the time of writing, this is the most recent episode. It begins with Noel walking a gray path, now back in the orange forest area. She walks into a large wooden building and music begins to play. Considering the ad for the school dance and all the lockers, this is probably a school. In the rightmost classroom, we meet Short Noel, who seems to mistake Noel for her mother. In the center of the school, we meet Yellow Noel, who promises to unlock the nearby closet in exchange for a soda. Indigo Noel threatens to bite Noel's nose off. Dark Noel wants to be left alone. Cyan Noel likes the vending machine next to her. Interacting with said vending machine lets Noel buy a soda for $1, but Noel is broke. Entering the second leftmost classroom, Orange Noel seems to be teaching and proctoring a test. This Noel, called Smart Girl, studied for the test. Emerald Noel studied, but is less confident than Smart Girl. Light Pink Noel spent all night playing computer games and starts going off on a loud tangent that breaks the text box and unnerves Noel. Entering the leftmost classroom, Burgundy Noel explains the teacher for this class is gone. Viridian Noel contemplates eating the math book to put an end to school. Red Noel brags about being 666% evil, but quickly bribes Noel with $1 to prevent her from tattling. With this dollar obtained, Noel uses the vending machine, only for it to not give her a soda. Talking to Cyan Noel, she is shocked to hear that Noel didn't receive a soda, and begins to break down, which also unnerves Noel. Then, talking to Indigo Noel, she reveals she stole all the Beppis from the vending machine. She initially is unwilling to share, but eventually gives in and lets Noel have a kind of soda called Beppis. If you didn't know, Beppis is a placeholder name in Undertale. Noel then goes to Yellow Noel and attempts to give her the Beppis so she would unlock the closet door as promised. Unfortunately, for the second time in this series, Noel fails to give a consumable item to an NPC, and is only met with silence. After this, the video ends. Now that you've been caught up to speed, let's get to theory crafting. So first of all, something I neglected to mention is that this series is being presented through the lens of someone actually playing through these weird levels. We can see this in the descriptions of the videos and in part 2 where they try to find the menu button. Here's an infographic I made to try and explain what I'm getting at here. The player is playing this as a game. To Noel, it's all real to her, but she seems sentient, and the NPCs aren't really aware of anything and mostly repeat the same lines of dialogue. I don't think I'm going to touch on the player's role here too much, because we don't know much about what their place in all this is. I like to imagine the player got some messed up copy of the new chapters and has no idea what all the hype is about. Throughout this series, we see a few things which I think could be interpreted as references to the Weird Root. In episode 1, Noel collects a photorealistic rose, which connects to the thorn ring in the Weird Root, as well as the rose graphic that was removed in chapter 4. In episode 2, we also see some red bits on the ground. They aren't very detailed, but these could also be roses. But in the second episode, there's also the apple. In deltarune, apples are connected to Chris, with Chris using apple shampoo, and the tea scene in chapter 4 where they can eat one. There's a theory that in the chapter 4 Weird Root, we create a soul in Noel, or transfer a piece of Chris's soul into Noel. This scene where Noel bites the soul-shaped apple could represent a piece of Chris's soul entering Noel. There's also another angle we could look at this from. It's theorized that the shadow crystals let you see the world of Deltarune for what it really is, a video game. I mean, Jevil directly references hit points when you fight him. The Noel test world is pretty clear about the fact that it takes place in a video game, with Aqua Noel mentioning variables, and the chest containing the dollar reminiscent of stereotypical RPG tropes of finding stuff in chests. Plus the whole Beppis thing in episode 3, with Beppis being a placeholder variable in Undertale. Plus the fact that all the other people here are NPCs who repeat dialogue. All of this likely wouldn't be lost on Noel considering she's an avid gamer, and I think she's starting to realize the digital nature of the world around her. This theme of Noel realizing she's in a video game and going a bit insane would line up with some of the other Shadow Crystal bosses. There's also the apple in episode 2. Apples can also represent forbidden knowledge, and I think finding out you live in a video game would definitely be forbidden knowledge. And the school in episode 3 is obviously reminiscent of Noel's school and hometown. Many of the colored Noel NPCs parallel other students. Indigo Noel is Susie, Smart Girl is Birdly, and Orange Noel is Alphys. This could represent Noel seeing her classmates differently after realizing they're all in a video game. There's one last train of thought I wanted to follow. The Noel test series also has some parallels to some of the major mysteries in Deltarune. First up, I could be getting this wrong, but some of the music in the Noel test series kinda reminds me of Lost Girl. Have a listen. The Lost Girl song is pretty closely connected to Des, but also to Noel, and regardless, Noel is definitely a lost girl right now. There's also the line "Lost Where the Forest Would Grow" from Chapter 4 in the Spamton Sweepstakes, and a lot of the Noel test series takes place in either an orange or green forest, so perhaps Noel here is the one lost where the forest would grow. Now, with all that being said, what do I think is going on in a Noel test? Well, I think it's pretty early into the series to know for sure. There are a lot of different ways you can interpret the things in Noel test, and saying I know for sure what all of that means would be a lie. In all honesty, with the limited stuff we have to work with, I can't come up with a single theory I'm really satisfied with. It could be a dream or hallucination Noel undergoes during the events of the Weird Root in Chapter 4 after the scene in the holiday house. Or perhaps in her search for Des, Noel has made a deal with someone to grant her forbidden knowledge and she ended up in the game's testing rooms. I think it's really just too early in the series to say, and I might end up making a follow-up video later when we get more information. If you have any theories or ideas in the comments, feel free to share them. This has been the Pickaxe Channel. See you next time.